Obviously, law enforcement officials tasked with protecting this nation from terrorism have an extremely, impossibly difficult job, and it only takes one slipping through the cracks to cost lives. But that said, a review of the Orlando terrorist attack and several others in recent years raises some uncomfortable questions about whether current methods for screening are effective, because numerous red flags have been missed. Is this incompetence? Is it common human error? Or is it a reluctance to be seen as overly judgmental, as bigoted, as Islamophobic? Omar Mateen, who murdered 49 at Pulse nightclub Sunday morning, had been interviewed 3 times by the FBI between 2013 and 2014 over possible terrorist views and ties. He had been put on a watch list for 10 months, but was removed due to lack of evidence. In November 2009, almost immediately after, Army Major Nidal Hasan murdered 13 people and injured more than 30 in a shooting rampage at Fort Hood, an FBI agent said to a law enforcement colleague, "You know who that is? That's our boy." That's because the FBI knew Hasan and knew he had been communicating with al-Qaeda cleric Anwar al-Awlaki. Boston Marathon bomber Tamerlan Tsarnaev was also known to intelligence officials. In March 2011, 2 years before the attack, Russian security services told their American counterparts that Tamerlan Tsarnaev was a follower of radical Islam and planned to travel to Russia to fight alongside Islamic extremists in Chechnya. The FBI investigated Tsarnaev and his family and found no, quote, link or nexus to terrorism. In 2014, Ali Mohammed Brown was charged with murdering 4 people in a nationwide killing spree, including 2 men who are gay outside a gay nightclub in Seattle. Now, Brown said he did this to protest U.S. foreign policy, and he wrote in his journal that he planned to, quote, learn the way of jihadis. According to federal prosecutors, he had been on a terrorist watch list. In 2009, Abdul Hakim Muhammad, a Muslim convert, killed a soldier and wounded another at an Army recruiting station in Little Rock, Arkansas. He, too, was known to the FBI after being arrested in Yemen with a Somali passport and investigated for extremist leanings. But upon his return to the U.S., Muhammad was not placed under surveillance. What's going on? Joining me now is a man with plenty of experience trying to piece together intelligence information, former director of the CIA and National Security Agency, retired 4-star General Michael Hayden. And we should point out we invited the FBI to come and answer these questions. They declined. What do you make of these instances where individuals were known to have terrorist views or ties or possible leanings, and yet the FBI looked at them and concluded they were not threats, and, you know, fast forward, people are dead?
So the national instinct, Jake, quite understandable, is one of disappointment, all right? But before people make a final judgment on that, let me, as an intelligence professional, offer a few other facts, all right? Number one, you mentioned, what, about a half a dozen cases? Mm-hmm. And all of them ended up very sadly. That's the numerator. What's the denominator? How many cases did the Bureau have to investigate over that period of similar people?
Thousands, I would guess.
Actually, tens of thousands. So that's one. Second, Jake, we have to understand the reality that when they investigated these people may not have been in the place that they finally ended up in when they committed these acts. And then finally, and we knew this when I was in government, as we turned to the Bureau to be actually a domestic intelligence service, which is what the Intelligence Reform Act says it must be. That's a changing culture for the Bureau. You're taking what is largely a law enforcement agency, Jake, and now making it, the phrase we used, they needed to investigate the spaces between cases. Mm-hmm. They had to investigate and gather information without a criminal predicate. Number one, that's acultural for a law enforcement agency. And number two, out of the gate, it begins to bump up a whole lot of political, cultural questions in the United States with regard to the authority of any police force.
And civil liberties.
Absolutely.
Your second point was about interviewing people before they had maybe become radicalized. Take a listen to FBI Director James Comey earlier this week.
Our work is very challenging. We are looking for needles in a nationwide haystack, but we're also called upon to figure out which pieces of hay might someday become needles. That is hard work. If we can find a way to do that better, we will.
Look, I agree with everything you're saying. It's an impossible job. I would not want to be given that task. But let me also ask, is it possible that people are being politically correct? You look at the Fort Hood case, when the army knew that Nidal Hasan had become extremist,
Yep.
and they whitewashed his reports to make it sound as though it was a good thing he had all this knowledge. The FBI knew he had been talking to, emailing with Anwar al-Awlaki. Is there a hesitance to be branded a bigot?
Well, knowing what I know in the public record about the Major Hassan case, I tend to agree with you. I think the Army backed away from this. For want of a better term, I'll use yours, political correctness. They didn't want to bite off the issue that they might have gotten into had they gone after Hassan, given his religious leanings. Look, we're all sensitive about religious liberty here. But that case, Jake, I'm with you. I think we clearly did not do some things that we should have done.
And obviously, we don't want to paint with a broad brush the
Oh, God, no.
millions of peaceful American Muslims or the 1.5 billion throughout the world. But obviously, if their extremist leanings indicated, that's a whole different thing. Here's another question. Does law enforcement have the tools it needs? Do the taxpayers give enough money? Are there enough men and women on the ground?
So right now, the Bureau is under-resourced to handle that number of cases you and I just discussed, thousands to tens of thousands. And then what do you do after you've let someone go, saying, no, he is not a danger at this time? If you had more resources, you might be able to check in every now and again. So number one, the Bureau probably needs more resources if we want them to do this, and that's a separate question. Beyond that, the Bureau probably needs more tools if we want them to do this. They need more authorities to use the whole rack of things they're allowed to do in a criminal case. In a case that I described before to you, Jake, is not a criminal case. It's an American about whom they have suspicions. So how far do you want the Bureau to go in terms of invading that individual's privacy? Do you want them to go into the Facebook account? Do you want them to go into the emails and so on? I mean, these are very serious questions. Let me give you a real-world example. Recall Christmas Day 2009, Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalib.
Sure, the failed underwear bomber.
The plane over Detroit. Jake, up to Christmas Eve, there was a national outcry that the National Counterterrorism Center had far too many people on the no-fly list. By Christmas night, the national complaint was that there weren't enough people on the no-fly list. And so when this dies down, you're going to have somebody else in here in this chair complaining about what the Federal Bureau of Investigation is doing.
Fair point. Former NSA, CIA Director General Michael Hayden, thank you so much for your analysis.